Hey everybody, it's Kali, and a friend recently called me and asked me for my recommendation on a yoga mat. And this just sparked this very long-winded response, and I realized what an incredibly challenging decision this can be to make. So today I'm hoping to simplify matters so that you can make the decision that's right for you. Ultimately, getting a yoga mat is a very intimate decision. This is going to be your practice pal. You are going to have this every single time you want to take a class. Um, you don't have to have as many mats as I do. I have them because I use them a lot and I use them for different purposes. But if you're just starting out with your practice and you want to know what is the best type of mat, like that you want to get, that you're going to be using all the time for your practice, I'm going to fill you in. And there's no one right decision. There's my personal preference, and I'm going to talk a lot about why I prefer certain qualities in a mat over others. But it's like one of those opportunity cost kind of situations where sometimes you may give up one thing for another thing that's more valuable to you. And that, again, is an intimate decision. So essentially, the whole yoga mat industry is a two-horse race at this point. We have open cell and closed cell mats. And this is the way that the mats are constructed. This is the way that they are made. And so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that. But the two gold standard yoga mat brands are Manduka and Lifeorme. Okay. They both have like a really good quality mats. But I personally prefer Manduka. I guess you can tell already because I have a basket filled with them and I have my one singular Lifeorme, which started out as two, but that's a story for another time. All right, so I'm going to jump right in and start comparing and contrasting these two mats. And I'm going to focus on the standard mat, okay, the standard design. So this is the Lifeorme mat, okay? This is one of the most popular, fastest trending yoga mats out right now. So this particular mat has, it's completely smooth. There is a little bit of texture at the alignment markings. I'm not gonna take it all the way out, but you can see the markings here. So there's like little markings to help guide you as far as your practice is concerned. It kind of coalesced in the center of the mat with their logo. And there are a bunch of different varieties of this mat, which is really, really, really cool. A couple of things that it's about a 4.2 millimeter thickness of this mat, and it's very loose. It has like a really loose density to it, so it's kind of movable. And just really quickly, just so you have the comparison, so you see side by side what the difference is. I'm going to pull out my lavender, or I think on the website they call it elderberry or something like that. I'll look that up and be sure. But this particular mat is the Manduka mat, and you see already that there is a texture. This has like an impressed texture to it already. It is known to be one of the sleeker, slippier. As you can see, just by the textured rib of this mat, it has almost a texture of like a fabric. I kind of compare it to like denim, like if you were to rub your hands on jeans or some other type of woven fabric, it feels like it's woven. This is one of my regular practice mats. So I use this one all the time. So it's nice and broken in. I don't have a lot of slip to it. It's grippy. I'm accustomed to using this mat. Now this one's instantly grippy. Okay. So even though it's smoother in the surface texture, there is some type of patented construction, I'm very sure, because I looked up online. I know I told you it's 3 layers. There's the rubber layer at the bottom, and then there's a moisture barrier layer, and then there's the top layer, and they won't tell us. There's no information. I won't say they won't tell us, but there's not information about what the top 2 layers are made of. So I don't know what they're made of, but they are biodegradable. This one's completely biodegradable. The Manduka mat is PVC. Now, I know PVC has like a really stigmatized reputation of being a bad product or a bad material to have, especially in a yoga practice where you want everything to feel organic. But again, this opportunity cost. If I do this, if I choose A, then B suffers. So the life cycle of the mats. But before we get into the life cycle, let me go back. Okay. So with the Manduka mat, this one is much thicker. This is the Manduka Pro that I'm talking about. This is the standard Lifeorme, and this is the Manduka Pro. Manduka also makes a 4mm thickness mat. Okay, so it's a little lighter than this one. I do not have one. Okay, I prefer the 6mm. I prefer the thicker mat. Now, talking about density, where as you saw how pliable the Lifeorme mat is, a lot of that, yes, has to do with it's only 4mm thick, but it also has a looser open cell. And remember at the beginning, I told you there's closed cell and there's open cell. So open cell has the capacity to kind of sweep away moisture. So it's almost like your performance shirts and sweats and whatever, where it wicks the moisture away. So when you sweat on this, it kind of gets absorbed into that first layer. And then there's the moisture barrier underneath before it gets to the natural rubber. And the idea is that when you're practicing, this stays essentially dry. It stays the same texture throughout. This mat is closed cell. And it is very dense. So you saw how it was like wiggling around the 4mm Lifeorme. I can't really do that with the Manduka mat. The other thing about it is like, if I pinch it, I can't make out my finger, which I really like. This is a really thick, dense mat. It's not so thick where you feel like there's a barrier between you and the practice. It's almost as firm as a floor. Like I think cork, like a cork floor or something. Like it has a little bit of give, but it's also really solid. This is not so much. And my big issue, being a 50-year-old woman, is my knees. So when any position where I'm on my knees or my joints, even my wrists, like some practices, especially if I'm doing a lot of things where I'm on my wrists, like if I'm practicing arm balances or even like repetitive down dogs and vinyasa, this is where I'm going to go as far as my practice is concerned, just because that constant pressure, that constant hitting, you really start to feel that after a while. With this one, you're not going to get as much cushion, okay? Maybe for advanced practitioners, that's perfect. But for me, and I would consider myself like intermediate. I don't like ranking, whatever. There's some things that I do that are fantastic, and there's some things that I'm still working on. But this is my favorite mat to work with, just because I know that my joints are protected and I don't feel as tired. I don't feel that consistent pain in my wrist. This one is of course much heavier. It's weighing about 7.5 pounds, which is a lot. So it's not the most portable as far as yoga mats are concerned. This one is a lot more portable. And keep in mind that Manduka also makes a 4mm thickness mat that is far more portable. Another thing about the density and about the construction of it, and then we're going to move into some other areas. I have a cat. My cat loves yoga. He loves coming on my yoga mat when I'm practicing. If I'm teaching a class on Zoom, he's on the Zoom. There's no way you're going to get around him. I'm surprised he's not here now. He's usually trying to creep into the videos, but he didn't do it today yet. He scratched up both of these mats. This one, I can still feel it. I can see it. It has not healed itself, and it won't. Okay. So, this one's susceptible to damage much more than the Manduka, because my cat Mingus has also scratched this mat up, and I cannot tell where. I know he did it because I was on it when he started kicking back and scratching his claws or whatever, and I shooed him away, and he did nick it, but I can't see it anymore. I don't know where it is. So it has this like, repairable quality to it that I really, really like. there is a break-in process with this mat, and it's a little involved and it's a little strange, but when you first crack open a Manduka, the first thing that you want to do is you want to get yourself a big thing of sea salt. So I got this blue one recently and I bought this sea salt so that I can do it. And I have a video that's going to, actually a short. So I'll link you to the short so you can see what that process actually looks like. But this one, yes, you're going to be breaking it in. Okay. It's going to take a little bit of time for you to get to the point where you can have a comfortable practice and you're not worried about slipping and sliding and falling all over the place. Now, one of the biggest things that, especially when I first started buying yoga mats and getting more serious about my practice and investing real money in my practice, this means like not going to the grocery store to buy a yoga mat or not getting one from a 99-cent store. Color. I'm all about color. I'm all about aesthetics. So I'm like, I want my mat to be like a reflection of me, but I also don't want my mat to be distracting. This is my personal preference, right? One of Manduka's kind of brand awareness, one of their brand missions is to create tools to practice yoga that don't become the focus of the yoga. And so that's one of the things that is really important to me. I don't like patterns on my mat. I'm controversial. I know I don't like patterns on my mat. I actually don't like a lot of patterns on my clothes. I tend to be very like, not necessarily neutral. I love color, but I do usually choose one color or mix of colors, a monochromatic thing, or like, I guess you could see from my couch, like the turquoise, the teal, the blue. Like, I don't like the distraction of having another idea or another thought or some other information on here. So for me, it's calming, muted, colors that I can still focus, that don't take my focus away from my practice because I'm looking at some mandala or whatever. The logo is bright red, but it's also not super distracting. Like, I always forget where it is. And if it really is a distraction, you can always put it towards the back. The Lifeorme, they have even simpler, but they almost all have alignment markings on, which I'm not a big fan of the alignment markings. I feel like they're a little bit one size fits all, but they are helpful if you're just getting started. If you go to the Lifeorme website, their color palettes are striking. They have the coolest colors. Like, they just brought out a terracotta where I was like, ooh, I love terracotta. I'm not going to get it because I know I won't practice and I already have plenty of mats. But they do have really beautiful colored mats. They also have printed, like, patterned mats. And one of the coolest things, like, if you are a person who loves patterns, they have a customizer where you can customize your own mat. Like, you can pick a color, you can pick the pattern, the design, the centerpiece. It's pretty cool. You can even get your name put on the mat. It's a lot for me. I probably will never make one like that, but I love and I think it's a really cool thing that you can do. It's just not for me. Okay. Another cool thing that I will compare with the two mats is we already talked about portability, but the varieties. Okay. So the Lifeorme mat, they do have a wider mat. They have a longer mat. They also have a really cool, they call it a knee mat, but most of the time I see people using it, they're practicing handstand, and I think it's really cute. It's like about like a bat size. It's just perfect for like two hands up in the air. Really, really cute for, really, really cute for arm balances, really, really cute for anything that you don't want to throw out a mat. And I think I would even use a smaller mat like that more often, just because, especially practicing handstand, like, to really get it, you just need to be on the mat. And sometimes you don't want to leave your mat out all the time. So this is a great way to like have some little small thing where you can practice. Maybe you have it at your office and you can go and practice at lunchtime or something like that. It's small, it's tiny, it's dainty. I'm not going to say it. I was very tempted to say it's demure, but it's very cute. And so that's kind of the size range and the varieties that they have. Now, Manduka, on the other hand, not only, this is their Pro series, they actually make their own open cell mats too. I haven't used any of them, so I can't speak to them. Like for me, when it comes to Manduka, it's the closed cell for me. This is my preferred mat. It's my preferred mat style. Like I said, I love the density. I love the thickness. Um, but they have a wide variety of different types of mats. So it's not just the Pro. They don't only make the Pro. It's just that's the right mat for me. But they do have a pretty wide color range. Right now it's quite muted. I'm like, I wonder what they're going to do moving forward. Like they've been trying things with like kind of like a tie-dye look. Also not for me. But really there's even one that's like, it's this elderberry and black on the bottom. It's like split in half. And that one's kind of cool. I actually bought it and then I returned it because it was so close to the other mats that I had. It was like, okay, this is kind of overkill. But the variety of sizes. So their long version of this mat is this one here. I have the gray and long. I'm about 5'9", so I like having the extra space, especially when I'm doing my Ashtanga yoga. I'm flying up and down the mat, and sometimes I'm like really close to the edge or really close to it. So I like having a lot of space on my mat. And so this is my morning Mysore practice yoga mat. They also have a squared one that I have. It's really wonderful. It's like a 2 meter square yoga mat. So it's huge. It's perfect if you have a whole entire room. I bought mine to use on my deck outside because I just love having all that extra space, but you can practice with a couple of people on the same mat. It's gorgeous. I love it. It's a little pricier. It's about $350. But totally worth it. It's like 3 or 4 mats all together in one. It's pretty incredible, pretty dope piece. I'm glad I got it. And like I said, they have the 6 millimeter, they have the 4 millimeter, they have I think it's 2. I think this is 642 sounds like a reasonable boop, 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 progression or regression in the mat sizes. The Lifeorme, as of today, as the recording of this video, they only have this 4 millimeter and they changed the sizes of it. But for me, especially because it's so porous, it just isn't dense enough. It's just a little too thin for my taste. Like I don't like that it is that flexible. I like that this one, I really have to press into it in order to like mar it or to change it because it really does protect the joints. Let's see. So if you wanted something that was lighter weight, that has the same features, the same closed cell as the Manduka, you could buy the 4 millimeter, and they have a bunch of different colors for the 4 millimeter. I just like the 6 better. Okay, so this is, I'm not going to say this is a black girl thing, but this is a heavily moisturized woman that we're talking to right now. And I have skincare. Like I'm not going to get on my mat ashy. Like I put lotion on, I have body oils, I have stuff in my hair from one day to the next. And when I'm sweating, that stuff is coming off into my body and it's sweating and it's mixing with my sweat and it just is what it is. And, controversial, but I'm not going to change that. So I really do like to be moisturized. So I'm not going to change my hygiene habits for a yoga mat. It's just not going down. This one, it's not a problem. But I had another mat brand that was completely natural rubber and it was a massive problem. I don't know that I was able to keep that mat for 3 months just because of the natural, well, I won't say it's natural because I do put on oil and then I do lotion and stuff. I have really dry skin and it just completely decomposed. Open cell. Okay, so that's something to think about. Okay, so the life cycle, I want to talk life cycle with you guys. So I know I've mentioned the materials that they're made out of, the countries that they're made in, Germany and in China, with supervision from Lifeorme. They're not just throwing stuff over to China. So I know that they're doing their due diligence and making sure that it's produced in an ethical and responsible way. Hopefully they are also aware of the human rights issues that are on everyone's mind when we think about where something is made, which is why I throw it into this video. But the Manduka mat is designed for 10 years of use. Okay, so it is the life cycle of this. Yes, it is. What is it called again? I have it written down somewhere. It is 100 PVC, which is OEKO Tex standard. So it's the standardizing company that verifies whether a product is made with integrity and that it is made in an ethical way using ethical products. So yes, it's PVC, but it is baby grade PVC. It is the type that you could give to a child. A child could gnaw on it. Don't give a child anything to gnaw on that's made of plastic, but you could give a child this mat or put a child on this mat and they would be considered safe. Like it is considered a super high quality, safe material. 10 years worth of practice. Now, Lifeorme does not put on their website how long the life cycle of their product is. But what they do say is, this is a quote from their website, that it is a quality over quantity decision that they've made. So they've decided to make a very high quality mat, no matter how many of them you have to go through. And I guess they're making the assumption because it's biodegradable that it doesn't matter if you have to buy multiple mats over the course of your yoga practice, which arguable, right? When we talk about the cost of production and the energy that goes into producing something and the energy that goes through the shipping, like, just because it's biodegradable, if it's only lasting for 6 months to a year, which is how long I'm hearing folks saying their Lifeorme mats are lasting. Now, I'm sure there are tons of people out there who are saying, hey, you're wrong. That's not right. I've had mine for this long. I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule. Like I said before, because of the open cell, depending on what type of yoga you're doing, if you're doing a standard dry hatha yoga practice, you'll probably have this maybe 2 or 3 years. I don't know. They don't say, is my point. But it is being reported that people that have a hot yoga practice or that are sweating or their hair body hygiene products are entering into this mat are saying 6 months to 1 year. I didn't see much longer than that. Okay, I also don't know if I don't know what that criteria is. I don't know what criteria people are claiming that their mats are lasting that long. I don't know what their ideas are. So I can't say that it's a scientific statement. But what I can say is that what it sounds like to me, that I would need 9 of these, about 9, to make up for the one purchase of this. Don't look at these. Just kidding. Forget that I have 4 of them already and I might get another one. Forget about all that, right? That's different topic altogether. But one of these, or 9 of these for one of these, to me, is a long-term product. This is not a single-use plastic. This is not a single-use product. This is not single use either, but it's a little bit closer because it has that degradable quality to it. And like I said, the other things that factor into production also need to be considered. I went through the mat that I was telling you about where my body products and my hair and my body oils were degrading these mats. I bought 3 of them within like a year or 2. 3 of them. And I like the mats, and I have one still at the house. I don't want to show you because it's in awful shape. I'd probably need to get it recycled or something. Maybe I'll recycle it, get my 20% off and buy something else, or buy, but it's just something that we need to be considering when we're making these decisions. If this is a issue that's important to you, it might not even be an issue that's important to you. Okay. So the Manduka has a really, really honest reputation, it's true, of being very slippery and taking a long time to break in. It is true. As much as I love this mat, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be completely honest. When you take this mat out of the little packaging, it comes in like a little sleeve, and I don't have one now. I had one, but I don't have it now. And you go into a down dog, which is one of those things where you really have to activate your asabandha and get that energy lock in your hands for a down dog. You are sliding on this thing. It is slippery. I don't know why, but it's a little slippery. On their wrapper, they recommend that you break it in using a salt scrub. Okay, just a natural sea salt scrub. I am going to be posting a short on how I break in a Manduka mat. It's not worth a whole entire video because it's not that interesting, but a short would be helpful just to give you an idea of how that process and how I break in a mat. And I will show you on this blue one. The purpose of making this video is to help you decide which type of mat you can buy and to cover all the different options and all the things that might come into your head when you're deciding what type of mat you want to purchase. So hopefully this is helpful to you, and hopefully this will help you make the decision that's right for you. Thanks for coming by. And if there's any questions that rise up from this video, anything you'd like me to cover, go ahead and write your question or your comment in the chat. I'd love to see your feedback. And yeah, if there's anything that I can do or add to help, I'll be happy to do it. And if you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out, please go ahead and subscribe to my videos and also turn on the notifications. So that way, when I do post a video, you will see it. Those of you that are closer to me, you know that I am in the process of getting my master's degree in education. I'm also a high school teacher. And so this is really like a labor of love. This is something that I kind of don't have time to do, but I love to do it. I wanted to do it for such a long time. So I'm really happy to be here and really happy to do it. And I'd love for you to continue on this journey with me. And I hope to see you next week. All right. Take care. Bye.